And before we get started today, we'd just like to introduce our sponsors that have helped make this podcast possible. First and foremost, we will go Derek Chapman from Chapman Media TV, located 110 Main Street, LaGrange, Georgia, 30240. And none of the show would be possible without Mr. Chapman in the studio and the media. Also, we have Carvelis Pizza, PT Offer Law Offices, Tech Tires, MG Apparel, DeLong Sales Group, Chris Parkinson's Multiple Businesses, and Tommy Wood Backflow. And we would just like another special thanks to these guys and making us able to do what we kind of do for this podcast. We have a special guest today, and before we bring him on, we just wanted to kind of briefly discuss the ending of our fall and fall season and stuff like that. And we'll go to Coach Shannon and just talk about the high school fall and what we got up next and things like that.
Our high school season ended probably 3 weeks ago. We played at different colleges. We took a little different route than we usually do. We didn't go to too many PG events, so the scouts wouldn't have to chase us all around Atlanta. We took our teams to the colleges, and it's worked out really well. I think right now we have 14 commits out of the 2025 class, and looking forward now to getting back for our kids to have some time to get into the weight room, 4-on-1s, and get ready for high school baseball.
With the youth program in Columbus, we had a great fall season. I believe all of our teams finished out with a winning record, which is huge for us. We have a lot of competition in Columbus with other programs, so every time that we definitely get after it and we have a good season, it definitely helps us out. So shout out to our Columbus boys on that one.
Yes, sir. So definitely coming into the fall. It was a long season because you come from the spring into the summer and jump right into the fall. And so we're very proud of our boys for having a good, successful fall. I know on the LaGrange side, we had an 8-year-old team, 9-year-old team, 2 10s, 11, 2 12s, and 2 13s. And every one of our teams at least won one tournament this fall. And so that's just a proof in the pudding that the boys are getting better and buying in, as well as the parents that are buying into the program as well. And we'll take a couple weeks off, and then we'll go hop right into our 4-on-1s and start doing some of our off-season programs and things like that so we can get better for the spring.
Well, today our special guest is a great friend of mine, Coach Rodney Hennon from Georgia Southern University. Coach Hennon and I go back all the way to 1999, and we got to meet because it's not that we become friends because we're all chummy. I had a bunch of really good players, and he came out to see them, and basically I think signed probably about 50% of my team that year in 1999. And living in the Savannah area, Mr. Hennon, which is Rodney's dad that unfortunately passed away, was really good to me as well. Would give me the opportunity to come up and watch my former players play at Georgia Southern, and now we've become more than just colleagues in baseball, we're friends. And some of the things that Coach Hennon has done over the years when he, is winning over 900 games in the Division I level, obviously is a great accomplishment. This is going into his 24th season as a Division I head coach. He's been in 6 NCAA regionals, 11 conference titles in the SoCo, whether it was regular season or tournament, and already won one in the Sun Belt, and has had 45 Major League Draft picks, which shows me not only that you can get them to school, keep them eligible, help them get an education, but develop those talented players, get those guys to the next level. And that says a lot about him as a head coach and surrounding him with great assistants. And and academically, I think right now, I know for a fact 2 guys that play for him that play for me. Brandon Burnsit, he is a neuro doctor, I think that's what you call him, the brain surgeon or whatever, out in Mississippi that played for him. And then Matthew Hammond, he's a doctor in the emergency room down in Brunswick, Georgia. And so obviously they get their start academically at Georgia Southern. So right now I want to bring on Coach Hennon and let him say a few words about him and his program, and we'll get to the questions and get this thing going. Thank you, Coach.
Yeah, Shannon, always great to be with you and get a chance to talk, and appreciate you having me on here today. And hearing you talk about going back to '99, time sure flies. That's for sure. But it always brings back a lot of good memories. I remember when I got here in the summer of 1999, just gotten kind of still not settled in Statesboro. One of the first recruiting trip actually I made was driving over to Savannah and watching you guys work out in the back of the warehouse there. And I remember picking up the phone and calling Mike Tiddick, who was about to join me down here. He was still in North Carolina, saying, "Hey, I don't know if South Georgia's like this every year, but if it is, we got a chance to be all right down here."
Right. Yeah.
Sure working with good players. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on here today and a chance to talk about our program and college baseball and really any topics you guys want to hit.
Well, I appreciate it, Coach, and I just want to go over a list of our relationship with the former players that have played. And for players that are out there seeing this, if I missed you, I apologize. I'm getting old. So I'm not, I don't remember things like I used to, but here's some names from the past, Coach, that's going to bring back some memories. Brandon Woods, Adam DeLoach, Matthew Hammond, Connor Bruce, Tanner Langley, which is current player there, Josh Laracy, Ernie Austin, Trey Hunter, Corey Dowdle, Brandon Burnset, Brandon Williams, Nick Poe, Brandon Ponder, Matthew Sayer, Brian Gaines, Blake Nation, Ramon Grimaldi, Striker Brown, T.D. Davis, and probably the best overall pitcher that I ever had. He signed there, but he got drafted in the 7th round and took the money and went with the Phillies, is Vinny DeCristofaro. And so that's just a little bit. And I probably missed 3 or 4, and I apologize for that. But that's the kind of relationship that myself and the 5-star program has with Georgia Southern. And I want to get into some of these questions real quick. And so we can kind of, there again on the first show, we said our job is to educate the players and the parents. And so, basically in the recruiting process, there's a lot of mystery out there, but really every coach looking for different things. So what are you looking for in a player as far as on the field, off the field, in the classroom, and their parents during the recruiting process?
Well, great question. Obviously you have to look at tools, a player's ability on the field, what his skill set looks like. I mean, this is a highly competitive level of baseball at the Division I level, and we're proud to be a part of the Sun Belt Conference, which in my opinion is kind of developed into one of the top 5 baseball conferences in the country if you look at the last few years and the success that our league has had. So one, you have to find a player that has the ability to compete at this level. And for us, some other things that we really value, the makeup and character of a young man. The longer I do this, the more important that is in my eyes, and probably the toughest thing to evaluate, because we have limited opportunities to see guys. We get to see them play, we get to be around them, maybe on a couple of visits, but again, those opportunities to really be around a kid and his family are somewhat limited. So that's where you really rely on the coaches, whether it's the summer coach, the high school coach, people in the community. It always helps when you have a good connection in an area, someone that you have a relationship with, that you trust, just to find out more about the character of a kid, what kind of work ethic he has, what kind of teammate he is, how a young man's going to respond, when tough times hit, because we all know as you continue to move up the levels, and every kid wants to play professionally. That's every young player's dream. But every level you move up, you're going to be hit with adversity, and it's a game of failure. Anybody that's been a part of it knows and understands that. So I think a guy that has the ability to handle those tough times and to keep grinding. We take a lot of pride in our program and being a blue collar type program and that blue collar work ethic. We have to go out and compete with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. So we try to go find guys that, kind of have that in their DNA and really are really depending on the people that know them best. And that's why, you and I have known each other a long time. I know when I call you're going to tell me the truth on a kid. And feel like all the players that we have gotten from you and out of whether chain or now 5-star program over the years, we've had a good idea of what we were getting when guys came in here. And as a result, a lot of those guys have been a really good fit here at Georgia Southern. Obviously, academically, looking at a kid's background there, getting a transcript and seeing how they perform in the classroom, because we're going to have the same high standards here, for our young men in the classroom, just like we do on the field. And right. So those are all things that are big for us.
Well, the two old sayings that I learned a long time ago, I want to hit on a couple of things that you said. I was told a long time ago, as a young coach, your character shows up when things go bad. And there's a lot of things that's going to go bad in baseball. And, you have a chance to kind of correct your character if you have strong-minded people around you, good coaches, things of that nature, good parents, which, educating the parents, everybody's always happy when little Johnny hits a couple of dubs and, they go to Dairy Queen and get a blizzard. Then it's everybody else's fault when little Johnny pops up, swings and misses, and doesn't have a really good day. What we're trying to change over here is the mindset of it's okay, the sun's going to come up tomorrow. And we got to keep grinding, keep doing the things we're doing to make us better. So when me and you talk about a player and we say, hey, he knows how to take that failure. He knows how to, overcome some adversity. He knows how to fight and grind, because now with the transfer portal and things like that, you're not dealing with guys that are 18, 19. Sometimes you're dealing with guys 23, 24 years old. And there's a lot of adversity out there. And, hopefully in our program, we're getting them ready not only for high school baseball, but for someone like you. And, you're talking about, controlling the things you can control. I remember the first time I ever did a camp with you, and we did many camps down there at Georgia Southern. And it was really good to be around you. But I remember I was walking as a coach now. I don't know if you remember this or not, but you got on to me. Because I was trying to walk from station to station, and you kind of looked at me and you said, "Big man, we don't walk." And I said, okay.
I don't remember that now.
You remember that? I appreciate it, because all I made was $100. Well, I think I made $75. I appreciate it. That was good.
That's probably right. Yeah, I'm sure.
I got chewed out and to make gas money going back to Savannah. I appreciate it. But I learned something. I learned something. And I tell our guys, I'm always learning. This is my 28th year of travel baseball, and every day the little things that I learn from someone that I respect like you goes a long way. And we try to get that out of our players, and sometimes hopefully the way we do it, the parents understand is for the best interest of their child and our player. And I'm gonna let Zach go from here and kind of ask what's on his mind.
We got a two-part question for you, Coach. What's the best way to be identified as a prospect to get recruited by Georgia Southern? And how important is it to go to camps that you're invited to and to play travel ball breaking off from your high school season?
Yeah, and those questions kind of go hand in hand. Good point you mentioned with camp, because I was going to touch on that. But obviously, you guys know there are more opportunities than ever before for kids to be seen, especially in our state. There's so much activity takes place, tournaments, showcases in the state of Georgia, and we're very fortunate. We don't have to go far to see good players, not just from our state, but from all over the country that are coming into Georgia to compete in all the summer and fall tournaments. And certainly that means more exposure for kids within our state. You know, when I first got here, Shannon, you remember this, you know, occasionally some guys down this way, you know, might fly under the radar a little bit, and I always felt like that was to our advantage.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
You know, a kid that can play, he's going to be seen and known. So a lot more opportunities. I think being a part of a good program during the summer where you're able to play at some of the more competitive events certainly is big, so the kid can be seen. And you know, you don't really have as much choice in terms of your high school program, but we're fortunate, as you guys know, in our state, there's a lot of great high school coaches in the state of Georgia, a lot of great programs in the state of Georgia. And I always felt like, you know, for us, one of the best evaluations that we can get on a player is when the high school playoffs roll around. Right. You know, seeing a kid play in a high school playoff game, you know, when he's playing with all the guys that he's grown up with at his school, there's something on the line. The tough part about that for us is that's also right when we're in the stretch run of our season as well. So we can't get to as many of the high school games as we would like to. So most of what we see is going to be in the summer and the fall. So being in a good program, playing in competitive events is big. And as you mentioned with camps, I know we do a lot of camps in the summertime. We do them in the fall. We've got another one coming up in January, I think January the 18th. And anytime a kid shows up at our camp, that means a lot to us. That tells us that there's some interest on the kids' part in Georgia Southern. And it's an opportunity to get them on our campus, for them to see our facility, to see our campus, for us to be able to interact with them one-on-one on the field and get to know them better. That's a huge plus. So I always, when I talk to parents or kids about what they need to do, I encourage them, if any programs that you have interest in, you know, try to get to a camp so that you can learn more about the school, get a better feel for the coaching staff. And the other thing I think that's so important is, you know, the kids that are in a program. You know, I've always said our players sell our program better than anything else. You know, we work hard to have, again, a blue-collar culture, a team-oriented culture. We're big on that, because when you get to college, it's going to be hard. The adversity that we talked about, and when you go through those hard days, you know, being around people that you love being around, that you're comfortable with, that's what helps you get through the tough times. So those are things that I think are, you know, helpful when kids are trying to be seen, and also when it comes time to, you know, making a decision and finding the right fit.
Right. You know, going back to the travel ball thing, you know, we try to, you know, a lot of programs, they try to go all over, you know, in South Florida and play and all these other situations. Most of our guys, they're pretty good in the classroom as well. So we try to keep our guys within the state of Georgia, East Alabama, because that's where some of our guys are from. And I've learned over the years, you know, most of the time when we go to a bigger event and it's not in our area, we're not getting seen, we're not getting signed from those schools. So we have to kind of dial it down a little bit and play a little bit more within the state and from where our players are from, because that's who the guys are going to be, that's the school that's going to be recruiting our guys. And you can take all the rings we've won and things like that, which means nothing, but the biggest report card we have is, you know, how many kids we get signed every year. And so what we have to do is kind of figure out the best possible process. And it's trial and error every year. So we're going back now, like I said before, in the fall and trying to play on campus a little bit more and invite some teams in. Obviously, we'll play in the big WWBAs and things like that because they're well scouted and well ran. We'll go down to Florida and play in the Grand Slam with Larry Thompson because all the Panhandle JUCO schools come in for that weekend. So there are different opportunities, but we have to be smart as travel ball guys to make sure we are in events that someone like you or I don't know if you're going to be coming down to Miami or Jupiter's 3 or 4 times a year. It just doesn't make any sense. And
I think one thing you guys have always done a great job with is because we've done it. You've brought your teams over here over the years. You've encouraged your kids to come to our camps. You've gone around different campuses besides just the big events like you just mentioned. And I think where you guys have been really helpful and helped a lot of kids over the years is helping them find that right fit for them in a program, knowing our program, knowing other programs, and knowing the kids and having an idea of where a kid fits. You guys have certainly helped a lot of kids over the years in doing that.
Okay. Well, I think right now the big question I want to ask you is just briefly hit on, I know it's not a brief subject, but the NIL and the transfer portal and how it has changed the game and what the future looks like at Georgia Southern with those two things in mind.
Yeah, we could talk all day on this one. Obviously, if you follow college athletics, everyone knows it literally is changing day by day. For years, we've always been at 11.7 scholarships. And who would have ever thought that we would be talking about having the ability to go to 34 scholarships?
Right.
Which now it appears that is what is going to happen next year. I know there's still, things legally going on, but everything indicates that's where it's going to be next year. Now, in reality, there will be very few programs that will fund 34 full scholarships. But just the fact that, and I think that part is great because baseball for years has been way underfunded from a scholarship standpoint.
Sure.
I mean, you guys know that.
Yeah.
And so I think that is a great thing for our sport, for sure. The NIL, that's a part of it. Now more than ever before, we have the ability, more flexibility to help kids pay for school, whether it be scholarship, a combination of scholarship and NIL. And so I think there's a lot of good in that. Obviously, there's always been a disparity, a gap, if you would say, resource-wise from school to school, and there's still going to be that gap. It looks like what's coming into play for baseball is the roster cap, where from everything we know so far, we will be at 34-man roster beginning next year. This year, we're still allowed to play with 40. So it is going to reduce the number of opportunities at the Division I level for kids. But I do think in a lot of ways it is going to create a lot of parity. You're seeing a lot of the bigger schools, some of the P4 programs going really
football
heavy.
Now, SEC.
Going really heavy in the transfer portal. Trying to stay older and more experienced, and I get that. I understand that certainly from a competitive standpoint. I think where it's going to benefit schools like ourselves and schools in our league, I think we're going to have the ability to get a really good high school player now in the program. And, for us, that's always been the foundation of our program has been the high school player. We've
Right.
always, also recruited out of the junior colleges and we're active in the portal as well. But I think the foundation for us needs to remain the high school player and being able to develop them and hopefully put them in a culture here and where they have the kind of experience here where they want to remain a part of our program.
Right. All that stuff.
I don't like all the jumping around that you see nowadays, but unfortunately there is a lot of that. I think there are situations too where I think the ability for a kid to transfer can be a good thing if it's a situation where you have a talented player that may just be in a situation where he's not able to get on the field as much
Right.
as he would like, and maybe being able to go somewhere else where he has that opportunity or better opportunity to do so. Certainly that makes sense as well.
Well, Coach, we're going to take a little break, and I'm going to come right back with you. We're going to take about a 2-minute break right here, and I'm going to come back. We're going to finish up this conversation, and we'll be back with you guys here shortly. Thank you.
We're back here at 5 Star West, The Truth, and we got Coach Rodney Hinton for Georgia Southern, and we just want to ask you a specific question that we have from one of our players. Lawson Williams, a 13-year-old kid, middle infielder, 8th grade. He has the question to you, Coach. What's the youngest age you start recruiting a player?
Okay, yeah. Good question. For us, and I think now especially with the new rules and the roster cap, I think what you're going to see from a lot of Division I schools is things slow down a little bit. And when I say slow down, I mean in terms of the early offers that we've seen over recent years, where you're seeing, high school freshmen sometimes being offered scholarships and making commitments. There have been some rule changes with that has helped slow it down, obviously, but also with the new roster cap and the portal, that I think you're going to see that really slow down. I think it's always good to evaluate players. Anytime you see a guy at an early age that you can follow and see how he continues to develop and progress. But usually, I would say you really start to bear down on guys maybe that summer after their sophomore year is when you start to follow kids more, see them play more, and then obviously after the junior year going into the senior year as well. But those 2 summers I think are critical for young players, and we all know. I think it's hard for kids to understand this sometimes. Every kid develops at a different rate. So over the years, you can see kids kind of starting to panic a little bit. Maybe they're not getting offers, and you're seeing all these other kids as sophomores maybe in high school make commitments, and they start to panic. Kids, you just got to stay with it, keep working, and keep grinding, and continue to develop. Because some of the best players that we've had over the years have been guys that maybe it happened a little later for them. I mean, we've had some late signees over the years that at times even after their senior year of high school that have gone on to be really good players in our program. So I think it's important that kids be patient, continue to work. But again, I guess to answer that question, you're going to see guys a lot after that at least for us. After that sophomore year of high school, and then guys coming out of their junior year as well. Those two, at those ages, that's when we're going to start to bear down a little more.
Right, and then in my line of work, dealing with the high school guys, to hit on the panic button. You know, we have so many guys that they compare. Well, my teammate here, he's committed, I'm not committed. The parents start panicking, everything starts panicking. I just try to tell them, Coach, and you correct me if I'm wrong, baseball is going to figure you out. You're not going to figure it out. And wherever you get, if it's JUCO, D2, D1, mid-major, get drafted, I don't know. Baseball is going to figure you out. But baseball is such a quirky game. You know, I've been fortunate to have 19 big league guys. And out of my 19 big league guys, 11 of them started in JUCO. And so it doesn't matter where you start off, it's where you end up. And I just want the parents to realize, just, you know, cool your jets a little bit. Don't compare your son to player X, player Y, player Z. You just keep grinding, be that good parent, bring them in, let them work. And at the end of the day, it's all going to wash. Baseball is going to figure out where they need to be, and hopefully they'll progress wherever that lands them. And
no, that's a great point. I mean, it's all about finding the right fit. And you mentioned junior college. I mean, we've had some great players come out of junior college, and again, it happens at different rates. Maybe a guy physically wasn't as mature, you know, coming out of high school, goes to junior college, gets a little stronger, has an opportunity to get on the field and either get innings or get at bats. And one thing about those guys, usually they got a little chip on their shoulder. You know, They got something to prove because maybe they didn't get all the attention, you know, coming out of high school. So we've been fortunate to have some really good players, you know, go the JUCO route as well.
Yeah, as a coach, I want that grinder. I do really good with East Alabama, South Georgia kids that are on the grind, that are JUCO bound, that understand the progress of this thing and really get after it. Those type players are really, really fun to coach. I mean, my 25 class, I'd say 85% of them are JUCO guys. We've had them in the program since they were 12 years old. And I've had more fun with those guys than I've had since probably 2016. And you know what kind of rosters we've ran out there in the past with D1 draft picks. I mean, first rounders. It's been crazy, but I've had a blast, because when you tell them something, like you said, the chip on the shoulder means a lot. And we've won a lot of games because they'll go first to third on a base hit in left center field. They'll get the bunt down. They're not too proud to do the little things to help you win that impresses someone like you, that you keep your job because you're a winner. And you know, and understanding what kind of player you are, you know, and just being a good team and moving the line, so to speak, you know, offensively, defensively, laying out, doing the right thing. And I tell our pitchers all the time, you know, we have some 90-mile-an-hour guys, but they throw 90 miles, you know, ball forward, 91, 92, and it don't matter. You know, ball forward, 91, 92, and as good as me is 86, 87, getting ahead and having, you know, 2 or 3 pitches in their arsenal that they can, you know, manipulate the count with a little bit. So getting back to your point, you know, we want those guys as well, so we can pass them on to coaches like yourself. But we're gonna
and the other thing too, Shannon, I mean, there's good programs at all levels, and it's just a matter of finding that right fit. I mean, there's some really good Division II programs,
yes,
in our state and in the Southeast, across the country. Division III, it's all about finding the right fit, and obviously academically for a kid to get what he's looking for there. As well. But if you want to play somewhere and you've got some ability, usually there's a home for you somewhere if you can find that right fit.
Exactly. And we're going to let Coach hit on one more question, then we're going to look at the Georgia Southern season outlook a little bit with you. And what's another question from our youth or one of our parents?
So this question comes from Josh Sells. He has an 8th grader as well that's on our 13-year-old team. And he wanted to know, what's the biggest thing parents and players need to hear from a college coach?
Well, I think some of it we talked about earlier is the importance of the work ethic. I mean, I think commitment to the game is so important. I don't think a kid really knows what he's getting into when he gets to the college level until he's there. the level of commitment that goes into being a part of a program. Because there's a lot of time we spend in the weight room, on the field, academically, study hall, being to balance all of that, your academics and the commitment to what it takes to being a student athlete. I've said it, 1,000 times over the years. The only thing to compare time-wise that a student athlete puts in to his or her sport in college, the only comparison would be if a general student were going to school and working a full-time job while they're going to school, because so one, you got to love it. You got to love doing it to do it at this level. So just understanding the commitment, and I think for parents, just to support their kid, encourage them, be positive with them, when things get tough for them, because again, it's going to be tough, especially that freshman year. That freshman year is the toughest year. You go from being one of the best guys on your high school team to all of a sudden you're a freshman again. And there's a big gap between an 18-year-old and a 22, 23, and in some cases, since COVID, 24-year-olds.
Right.
So a lot of times that ceiling may be higher for that young player, but that experience of that older player, there's a big gap right away. So you kind of get knocked back down again when you get to college, and that's an adjustment. And I think for mom and dad to be able to just support their son or daughter, if it's a women's sport, through that, I think is big.
Coach, I'm going to hit on something I got to talk about. I know we're running out of time, but I got to talk about this with you because I hear this. I've heard it for 28 years. And the high school kid comes to me and I'm asking, where you want to go, what's your future, what, academically. We try to have that personal relationship with them here at 5 Star West. And they always say this to me: I want to have a college life. Well, you just hit on it. You got 2 college lives. The average student's going to go to school all day long, take their 12, 16 hours, whatever it is, then have a job in the afternoon at Burger King, Subway, whatever. That's how they support themselves. And I don't know if our guys understand the commitment that you were talking about: early morning workouts, classroom, study hall. Then they're again taking care of their business on and off the field, because there's so many distractions out there. But especially when you're a college athlete at Division I level, Lil Susie loves the guy that's playing center field, not so much the guy that's flipping fries at Burger King. And I'm real with you on that. So they have to kind of understand and kind of learn how to use their time wisely. But I don't know. When they tell me what kind of college life they're going to get, I want to be real with them and say there's no college life, because you're property of that school. They're paying for your education, your meals, your housing. They're helping you take care of your family when you're 30, whether it's in the business world or playing, professional baseball or whatever the case may be. This journey they're taking is getting those guys ready to help them take care of their family later on in life. So if they make the decisions they need to do those 3 or 4 years, there's really not too much time for the partying and what they think the social life is going to be at a Division I school when they go and watch Georgia Southern, Georgia, Auburn on Saturday and their tailgate. That's not it. That's not that's not the process of being a college athlete. So, I'm glad you said that. So maybe the guys that are watching this got a little bit better perspective of what is expected of them when they become a Division I athlete. It ain't always, glitz and glamour. And, to end this thing, sir?
And I think part of that college experience as a college baseball player, we don't have guys in fraternities here. This is their fraternity.
Sure.
I
play baseball.
It's and they're still going to get to experience, have a social life. There is time to do those things, but you have to have your priorities in line, and obviously that's taking care of your academics, your commitment to the team and to the program, and I look back on my college experience, I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
No,
I mean, that's what I signed up for. I wanted to play
Right.
baseball and college, be a part of something, and I was fortunate to be a part of a really good program, and we were fortunate to have good teams. But the thing I appreciate now the most are those relationships with my teammates.
Right.
The tough times that we went through together on the field, and the times we have fun off the field. You're able to have some fun away, but obviously that's part of college, being independent, going away from home
Right.
for the first time, and kind of learning how to handle yourself. As an athlete, you kind of get to do that being a part of a team, and I think that's pretty special when you're able to look back on it when it's over.
Right. Well, real quick, Coach, I know you're busy down there in Statesboro, but give us a little outlook for the 2025 season, what your expectations are, who's some top players, who we can look for when you guys come up here to play a little bit, or we take a trip and come down here and see you guys. Who should be looking for? What's your expectation? I know it's a championship. I know it's a regional berth, super regional, and hopefully getting to Omaha one day. And if you get to Omaha, I'm going to pack it up. I'm scared of flying, but it'll take me a couple of days. I'll drive out there and see you. But, tell me what you're looking for this spring, and what we can anticipate.
Yeah, well, we're excited about our team. I mean, we're coming off a year last year where we made, I think we were playing our best baseball late down the stretch, made a run, got to our conference championship game, and unfortunately, came up short there, and kind of found ourselves as one of those teams on the bubble last year, and we're on the outside left looking in, on selection day. And, so I think that our kids that return obviously, have a little chip on their shoulder and something to prove. And, if you look at our club, and we're in our last week of fall practice, we'll finish up this Saturday with a scrimmage against USC Upstate. But I feel like we've got some experience up the middle, 2 senior catchers that return, and Sean White, J.D. Kaiser, our middle infield, Kate Parker, Luke Auden, 2 seniors that really solid players for us there. Josh Tate, who was an all-conference player last year, as our leadoff man, versatile guy that can play center field or also come back in the infield and play second base. Sean Smith, probably our best hitter down the stretch last year when we made that run, returns as a senior. So we've got some experience there in the lineup, and have added some guys that I think will be a big part of it there. Where we've got more newcomers is going to be on our pitching staff, and I think there's some talent there. Had 2 players drafted last year off that staff, Thomas Higgins, one of our Friday night starter, and Ben Johnson, who had a really good career for us. So more left-handed pitching than we probably ever had when you look at this staff, and again, some talented guys that we just got to run them out there and give them a chance to go perform and see how they handled it. But I'm excited about what this team is capable of doing, and we always play a challenging schedule. That's no different this year, and as I mentioned earlier, we're playing in one of the most competitive leagues in the country.
Right.
The Sun Belt has had 4 teams in the regionals each of the last 3 years. We were fortunate enough to host a regional back in 2022. And so we're working hard to put ourselves in position to get back to the postseason and see if we can make a run to Omaha.
Yes, sir. And, we got a little legacy here. I want to talk about Dustin Langley real quick, and Tanner Langley. This is Dustin's old jersey when he played for you. Now Dustin's coaching for us, and I know Tanner's down there playing. So if you can do a better job of teaching Tanner how to stay behind the curveball than I did, then God love you, okay? Because he's got some of the quickest hands I've ever seen. That's a blessing. But if you can do that for me, hey, I'll dance at the regional, okay? Since you're already married. But Coach, I appreciate everything. And
well, I appreciate you, Shannon, and appreciate your friendship and all you do to help those kids. Like I said, you've never hesitated to reach out when you felt like there's a guy that over there that you feel like can help us, and you guys have done a lot to to help kids over the years, and that's what it's all about for all of us at our
Yes, sir.
level, your level, everything we're doing. It's all about trying to help kids grow and develop, and hopefully put them in position for success.
Yes, sir. And again, I
what
appreciate you guys. And Coach, take care and good luck this season. We'll be in touch very, very soon. Okay.
Okay, Shannon. Y'all take care.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
Coach.
Thank you, Coach.